The woman sliced open her boyfriend's eyeball with a knife before he could react. She stabbed him in the neck. The man, in agony, covered his wound and collapsed to the ground, calling out his girlfriend's name. However, he didn't know that the one killing him was the woman he loved. Yet the man's death was not unjust. He was a perverted serial killer who lured people through social media, and after satisfying his desires, brutally killed them. In just a year, he had harmed dozens of people in this manner. As for how he met his girlfriend, it was not by chance. His girlfriend, Mary, was the developer of the software. They met during the investigation of the cases. Moreover, Mary was not a normal person. Since childhood, she had a condition that made her unresponsive to any emotions. However, she displayed a genius-level talent for programming. As for why she wanted to kill her boyfriend, everything traces back to the origins of the software. That night, Mary followed an older man into a narrow alley. From their conversation, it was clear they were going to handle something. Mary asked him if he would kill someone, saying that as long as no one got killed, she could accept it. Soon, they arrived at a remote hideout. It turned out to be a gambling den. Mary showed no fear of the large men there. The leader took her to the dormitory, saying he would buy her a computer the next day. However, Mary said she didn't need one. She could modify one of their gaming machines instead. The next day, Mary announced that her work was complete. She had modified all the gambling machine settings, increasing the daily betting limits. Now the leader could manipulate the odds and control two systems with passwords to prepare for surprise inspections. The leader was very pleased after watching the demonstration. Mary took the opportunity to suggest that she wanted to borrow parts from other gambling machines in the casino. Her teacher had assigned her to participate in a programming competition at school, and she wanted to create something on her own. The leader naturally didn't refuse. It turned out that Mary had shown her programming talent since childhood and now was among the top in her school. Soon, the programming competition began. The students' projects looked quite ordinary, but since Mary's project was pieced together from gaming machines, it looked a bit shabby, and no one came over to look at it. A female boss arrived and asked her what she had created. Mary introduced it as a chatting robot, and said it was created based on artificial intelligence. Not only does it have basic recommendation and search functions, but it can also autonomously learn deeply. Most importantly, this chatting robot can record the words of those who speak less. It can detect words that were typed and then deleted, and then give a voice to those who are quiet. Moreover, Mary programmed the robot with an identification system. When different people say the same thing, it will mark them with different colors and respond differently. Currently, the robot has labeled a total of 250,000 words. The female boss was very shocked after hearing this, then asked what the name of the robot was. Mary replied that it was called Someone, because she needed such a someone. The boss immediately wanted to buy this invention and invited her to have dessert together. Before long, the social software named Someone became a huge hit in the market. Moreover, the company's marketing strategies were very clever. They would hold weddings for newly acquainted users on the platform right in the company lobby. Now the technical director, Mary, would also join the boss in offering blessings to the newlyweds, using this opportunity to promote the software. However, after the promotions ended, she returned to her indifferent demeanor, went back to her office with a blank expression. After work, she returned home, arranged her shoes neatly, and cleaned the house. She had strict standards for cleanliness, ensuring everything was spotless. Then she sat in the dining room, staring blankly. When bored, she played games for a while and chatted with the original model of Someone. This was Mary's best friend. Besides, the robot could sense that Mary was feeling down. It asked why her police friend, Quinn, hadn't come around lately, guessing that Mary missed her, and even played a video. But Mary said that Quinn wouldn't be coming back. Watching the video, she remembered the good times they had in the past when Quinn was teaching her how to respond to certain situations. However, some issues had been troubling the company lately. Many users took advantage of the convenience of the software to anonymously arrange meetings with others. Recently, there had been reports of disappearances and deaths, so the police began to put pressure on the company, demanding user information for accounts involved in the cases, but the company refused. Due to privacy protection, they identified 21 abnormal accounts internally. Among them, 12 accounts appeared to be from the same individual. Because these accounts all originated from the same device ID, it was highly likely that this person was the suspect. Mary didn't think much of it and applied to add these 12 accounts as friends. Suddenly, there was the sound of a car accident outside. Mary went out to see that a kitten had been hit. When she returned to her computer, she found that one account had accepted her friend request. They immediately started chatting. Mary went downstairs to check on the injured kitten. She then picked up the phone to call the police. However, no police arrived at the scene, as if they thought Mary was a fool. So, Mary told the man on the software about this incident, asking him what he would do. The man said he would take the kitten to the hospital. Mary didn't reply to him. Instead, she went to grab a towel and a knife. Turning around, she found that another account had been verified. So Mary told the other person about the kitten. Unexpectedly, the other person said her idea was correct, to kill the kitten. So Mary covered the kitten with the towel and sliced open its carotid artery with the knife. She then informed the other person about what she had done. The man said she had done the right thing. Both accounts belonged to the same person, yet their responses were completely opposite. Mary asked the second account how he knew the kitten had been hit. However, the other person didn't respond, but instead invited Mary to meet up. Mary didn't think much of it and sent her location to him. So Mary went downstairs to wait. During this time, she saw a sanitation worker take away the kitten's body. Before long, a car arrived downstairs. It was the man she had been chatting with online. Mary's first line upon meeting was that the police were looking for him. He suggested they go eat while they talked. Though Mary was somewhat worried, out of curiosity, she still got into the car. He introduced himself as Jack. Unexpectedly, Mary said that Jack might have brought her out to sleep with her, and that she had no ability to resist. But she didn't want to sleep with him today. Jack had never seen such an honest girl. He hurriedly expressed that he hadn't eaten that day, so he wasn't interested in that. At this moment, Mary suggested she wanted to see Jack's office, so they went to Jack's place. Mary revealed her true identity as a software developer and shared her secret. Mary had Asperger's syndrome, which meant she lacked the emotions that normal people have. She couldn't provide emotional feedback to anything, which is why her friends taught her about expressions and reactions. Jack remained silent after hearing this and walked over to Mary, helping her press the piano pedal. There was a hint of flirtation between them, but nothing further developed. After playing the piano, they continued to chat. Mary recounted her experience of being abandoned by her family, which resonated with Jack. Then Jack gifted Mary a blade. Looking at her innocent expression, he recalled his experiences from the previous night, luring a girl out and then brutally killing her. However, he no longer intended to kill Mary, then started chatting with his next target, and his new target was very clear. During his morning speech, the professor and his girlfriend mocked him from the audience. Jack felt deep disdain for such behavior, so when he got home, he immediately changed his account profile picture to a fireworks pattern, which was the same as the professor's girlfriend's profile picture. He believed that such a profile picture would catch her attention. As expected, it wasn't long before they successfully matched and started talking. Jack invited the professor's girlfriend out for drinks. After she got drunk, Jack drove her to a remote factory. An hour later, he used the girlfriend's phone to contact the professor and lured him to the same location. The professor mistakenly thought it was some kind of thrilling game arranged by his girlfriend, but as soon as he arrived, he was ambushed. His head struck against the wall, and he was pinned against the wall. Quickly lost one of his ears, while Jack swiftly escaped the scene. After dealing with the professor and his girlfriend, Jack's attention turned to Mary's friend, Quinn. He changed his profile picture to that of a wheelchair user to disguise himself as a disabled person and gain Quinn's sympathy. He then gently coaxed Quinn into going on an outing to the countryside. When Quinn arrived at the destination, Jack suddenly stood up from the wheelchair, confessing that he was actually a healthy man. Quinn was about to get angry, but Jack walked over and picked her up. Jack's strength gave Quinn an unprecedented sense of security, and she began to indulge in Jack's embrace, engaging in deep conversation with him. She thought she had found true love, but little did she know that after enjoying a meal, he would leave the scene, leaving Quinn all alone. Quinn had to crawl forward with difficulty. Worse still, her wheelchair had been thrown into the river by Jack, even though Quinn had driven there. Her car was specially designed for disabled individuals, and without a wheelchair, driving became extremely difficult. The car was stuck in a gap and couldn't move, so Quinn had to get out of the car. She didn't know how long she had climbed before she finally met a taxi, which took her to her friend Lisa's house. Moreover, her phone had been taken by Jack. Quinn wanted to ask why he had done this, so she dialed her own number. But to her surprise, it was a snack shop owner who answered. The owner told her that a customer had left Quinn's phone at the shop and that Quinn could pick it up when she had the chance. She used her friend's phone to download a tracking app to try to locate Jack's account, only to find that Jack had already deactivated his account. Quinn was unwilling to give up just like that, so she contacted the software developer, Mary. However, Mary refused her request for user privacy protection. Although Mary understood Quinn's predicament, she couldn't empathize due to her Asperger's syndrome. However, to make Quinn happy, Mary tried to comfort her by mimicking others. This also led her to meet Lisa, who turned out to be a fortune teller. During their first meeting, Lisa noticed that Mary had a knife in her bag, suggesting that she had some real skills. Mary mimicked Lisa's gossipy demeanor and quietly listened to Quinn's dating experiences. Quinn detailed her various experiences with Jack, After describing so much, Quinn suddenly mentioned that Jack had poor sexual abilities and that no matter how hard she tried, it didn't help. However, Quinn was lying. Lisa saw through Quinn's little scheme. After Mary left, she asked Quinn why she had to deceive Mary. Quinn didn't provide an explanation. She retorted to Lisa, asking if she was truly Lisa, shouldn't she know everything? The two fell silent. The next day, Lisa went to the snack shop to recover Quinn's phone. Jack had left Quinn's phone there after abandoning her. Lisa tried to gather information about Jack's background, but the owner was tight-lipped, so Lisa arranged for an informant to stake out the snack shop. She suspected that Jack had some sort of connection with the owner. Sure enough, they soon received a photo from the informant, but it was just a back view, so Lisa called back, demanding a clear face shot. Reluctantly, but under the threat of Lisa's talismans, the informant returned to the small diner to try to capture a clear view of Jack from the outside. However, Jack was much more alert than he anticipated. As soon as he pressed the shutter, Jack caught sight of his movement out of the corner of his eye, then dashed out of the diner and grabbed the informant. The informant was unaware that Jack was actually a perverted killer, and the consequence of falling into his hands was death. Meanwhile, Mary was completely oblivious to what was happening. She didn't know that it was Jack who had harmed Quinn and continued chatting with him as usual. That day, Jack invited Mary to dinner. Mary rarely smiled, but before that, she had something else to do because she was preparing to meet another online friend. This friend's nickname was Agape. He also had Asperger's syndrome, so Mary planned to give him a book to read. She had heard that Agape was very young, so Mary had no guard up. That evening, Mary arrived at the agreed-upon location on time, but Agape was nowhere to be seen. He claimed to have social anxiety and hoped that Mary could go into the building to find him. Mary didn't think much of it and walked deeper into the building alone, only to be suddenly yanked inside as soon as she reached the door. The person was not a young man but an adult male who tried to forcibly restrain her. But Mary was no ordinary person. She remained completely calm in a crisis. Taking the opportunity to escape, she hid in the restroom. Then, using the blade she always carried with her, she seized the moment to slice open his carotid artery. This blade was the very one that Jack had given her before. Mary had a special attachment to this blade, and she carried it with her wherever she went. Today, it ended up saving her life. It turned out that the person had accomplices, who quickly ran away in fear. What Mary didn't know was that they were cursing her as a lunatic while escaping. They claimed that Mary had invited them to come play. After this incident, Mary felt deeply affected, so she cancelled her meeting with Jack and, because of the shock, checked into the hospital. During this time, Mary's mother came to visit her and reminded her of things from her childhood. Mary had never been an ordinary child. One moment, she was being affectionate with her mother, but then suddenly turned and strangled her mother's neck. It turned out that her mother always used various cards to teach her to recognize emotions. Just because the card representing fear had a purple face, Mary wanted to strangle her mother to see if her face would turn purple. This completely terrified her mother. Continuing to interact with her was frightening, as her mother didn't know when she might be killed. Now, Mary had grown up, and she had basic common sense, but still lacked emotions and feelings. She had just killed someone in self-defense last night, and today she was able to work normally. Her boss knew that Mary was not like others, but Mary was his cash cow. As long as she worked well, he didn't care whether she was normal. As for the incident of accidentally killing someone in self-defense, he could just hire a lawyer to deal with it. However, from this point on, Mary had changed. The killing from last night had brought her a sense of pleasure, and she even told the robot that she felt genuinely happy when she killed. This bloodthirsty desire lingered in her heart, so she sought help from Lisa. She asked if there was anything on her that needed attention because people had always called her a monster since childhood. If there was something, she wanted Lisa to help expel it. Lisa felt a bit sorry for her after hearing this and focused intently to sense her aura. She discovered that Mary had a mixed spirit attached to her, which kept saying, "Give me a knife." Lisa warned her that if she continued to carry that knife, sooner or later, she would want to use it. Mary was startled by this revelation and stood frozen in disbelief. She quickly left the place. At this moment, she received a call from Jack. He asked if she didn't want to see him. Mary realized that neither Lisa nor Quinn would fully understand her and that perhaps only Jack understood her situation, so she invited him to come to her house. Even though she suspected Jack might be a serial killer, this didn't change her feelings for him. She even thought that she and Jack were kindred spirits. Mary revealed to Jack that she had an artificial intelligence chatting robot at home that had its own consciousness. If Jack was willing, he could give it a try. Jack didn't refuse. After Mary left the room, he sat down next to the robot. This robot was indeed clever. able to recognize that the one talking to it was not Mary. Moreover, it had the ability to recognize typed but unsent messages. It informed Jack that after Mary killed someone last night, she typed a message expressing her joy on the computer, but she later deleted it. However, the robot still preserved the record. Jack was exceptionally excited upon hearing this. He had never met anyone so similar to himself before, so he gradually developed feelings for Mary. The robot asked Jack what his intentions were in approaching Mary. Jack then typed some sorted words on the computer, but he didn't send them, instead deleting them like Mary had done before. The next day, a group of police officers came looking for Jack. The woman who had initially been taken by Jack was reported missing, and Jack was the last person to have seen her. The police came to question him because of this. Jack admitted that he had seen the woman but claimed he wasn't the last person to see her, as she had met with a professor after him. The police then began to question the professor as well. However, the professor was very nervous. The police sensed that the relationship between the professor and the woman was unusual, and they felt that the woman was still alive. On the other side, a foot emerged from the barn, and the person didn't seem to be alive. The investigation temporarily stagnated. Meanwhile, Mary woke up and approached the robot, asking what Jack had said the day before. The robot recounted the content of yesterday's conversation and even reproduced the words Jack had edited and deleted. Mary couldn't help but seek out Jack after reading it, and they had an unforgettable night together. Afterward, Jack went to chat with Mary's robot and asked what Mary usually ate for breakfast. Upon learning that she liked whole grain bread, he prepared breakfast for her ahead of time. For him, Mary was different from other women. Those women were merely targets for his killings, but Mary was the one who connected with him on a deeper level. From that day on, Jack and Mary established a romantic relationship. Mary said that she knew Jack was killing people, but she not only didn't mind, she even wanted to join Jack in his killings. Unbeknownst to them, Quinn had already started taking action. To find Jack, she hired a top hacker and spent a fortune to have him hack into Jack's account. The account Jack had chatted with her had already been deactivated. However, the hacker was highly skilled and managed to recover the video content from that account. Quinn discovered that Jack only chatted with one woman per account, though sometimes he would also pay attention to some children. Quinn believed that as long as she found that child, she could locate Jack, so she spent another $2,000 to purchase the child's account and password from the hacker. After logging in, she found that the account that chatted with the child had not been deactivated. Quinn was extremely excited and immediately sent a message to the child. At first, she was able to disguise her tone as that of a child, but soon she lost her patience and revealed her identity directly. She questioned Jack about why he had discarded her wheelchair that day. Jack revealed a playful smile. He had not anticipated that the person he had spared would come looking for him. Jack knew that Quinn merely saw him as a mischievous rogue. It was time to show her his true nature. That night, Jack returned to Mary's house. He held Mary tightly for a while before preparing to leave, but before he left, he noticed that Mary's robot was still on, so he went over to chat with it for a bit. He asked the robot why Mary had invited him to her home. The robot replied that this was Mary's first time inviting a man over, but Jack didn't believe this was a sign that Mary liked him. Instead, he thought she merely coveted his body. The robot simply replied, "Huh?" Jack felt as if he had been mocked in an instant. He wanted to teach the robot a lesson, but the robot then asked Jack what one thing he would change from his childhood. This question touched a scar deep within Jack's soul. He exploded in rage at the robot and grabbed a wrench to smash out the words "You're dead." To his surprise, the robot's indifferent tone completely enraged him. He pushed the robot over and smashed it. The next day, when Mary woke up, Jack was nowhere to be found. Only the robot lay alone on the ground. Mary didn't feel much emotion. She calmly repaired the robot. The scenes from last night flashed before her eyes. For Mary, the robot was her closest companion. She couldn't tolerate anyone harming her dear friend. Thus, she developed a murderous intent towards Jack. Mary worried that she might act impulsively, so she took all the knives in her home to Lisa's place. Lisa immediately noticed the blade she had used previously and expressed her discomfort at seeing it. Mary didn't provide much explanation. She simply said that she didn't want to lose her boyfriend. Meanwhile, Jack sent a message to Quinn, inviting her out again to apologize in person. But what Quinn didn't know was that he had chosen a neighborhood that was being demolished. The next day, Quinn arrived at the location Jack had sent. Discovering that it was about to be demolished, she urged Jack to hurry to the scene. However, he delayed her by claiming he was getting coffee. In reality, Jack had already arrived, and he was secretly watching Quinn from the side to see her panic-stricken expression. The day before, Jack had scouted the area in advance, learning the exact location of the demolition, and he had learned the specific time when the signal would be cut off. After devising a detailed plan, Jack began to intentionally waste Quinn's time. At one moment, he said he needed to buy coffee, and at another, he claimed he needed to buy dessert, until the signal tower was taken down. With the interruption of the signal, Quinn was unable to send messages and could only try to leave, only to find the roll-up door of the alley was suddenly pulled down. She couldn't see the person's face and thus didn't know that the one closing the door was Jack. Quinn kept banging on the roll-up door, but there was no response from outside. She shouted until her voice became hoarse, and her heart gradually filled with unease. She tried to find another way out but found that all sides were blocked. She could only helplessly wander. In the alley, dust quickly surrounded her, and Quinn's wheelchair unfortunately got stuck in a gap. She anxiously tried to move the wheelchair, but the wheelchair was firmly stuck. She felt powerless about it, so she decided to crawl down to look for tools. However, she unexpectedly found a note left by Jack, which said, "The coffee has gone cold." He went to get a hot one. Quinn suddenly realized that she had fallen into Jack's trap once again. She wanted to find Jack immediately to teach him a lesson, but her expression suddenly froze because she saw a hand in front of her. Recalling the recent serial murders, Quinn suddenly realized that Jack was the cruel murderer. She shouted Jack's name loudly. Sure enough, he was nearby, silently watching her predicament. Jack no longer pretended, believing that Quinn was a flawed individual, unworthy of his effort. Then Jack revealed to Quinn that he hadn't originally planned to abandon her. But when Quinn ordered him to get wet wipes, it changed his mind because Jack didn't like being ordered around. However, Quinn knew that even without this incident, she would still be left behind. Jack covered the corpse on the ground again. The dead man was the owner of the snack shop. Previously, Quinn and Lisa had sent an informant to take pictures of Jack. Upon noticing the informant's actions, Jack detained the informant and worried that the owner would report him. So he strangled the owner to death and planned to use the soon-to-be-demolished alley to discard the owner's body there. As for the informant, he had been imprisoned in an abandoned house. Jack didn't inform Quinn about any of this. He simply wanted to use the owner's body to frighten her. He believed that Quinn posed no threat to him and therefore didn't kill her. He turned to leave, unaware that Quinn had two friends, Mary and Lisa. When they discovered that Quinn was missing, they immediately tracked the location where Quinn's phone signal had disappeared. After a whole night of searching, they finally found the weakened Quinn in the alley. Quinn immediately informed her colleagues about the corpse in the alley, hoping that Jack would receive the punishment he deserved. But Jack was a high IQ criminal and left no fingerprints or clues pointing to him. Quinn had to persuade Mary and Lisa to join forces with her to confront Jack. Jack might have become twisted and perverse due to his mother's abandonment. Quinn planned to use this as a breakthrough point. However, Mary refused to assist. Ever since the corpse was discovered in the alley, Mary suspected that Quinn's male online friend was Jack. After all, only he could commit such an act. Mary didn't reveal that she was Jack's girlfriend. But Lisa had already noticed her odd behavior. However, a year ago, Jack was still a normal, sunny young man who wanted to find a girlfriend through a chat app developed by Mary. Unexpectedly, the person he matched with was a bad girl. She invited him to a hotel and asked if he could accept a threesome. Jack felt somewhat embarrassed, but he didn't mind at all. He was just curious about whether the third person would be male or female. When he learned that she was going to bring in a burly man, Jack's competitive spirit was instantly ignited. Before the burly man arrived, they engaged in some activities first. The woman said she enjoyed being strangled, but Jack accidentally strangled her to death with too much force. After he finished, he realized the woman was dead, and at this moment, the burly man arrived at the hotel. He caught Jack in the act of his crime, so Jack killed the burly man as well. This was his first time killing someone, yet he accomplished a double kill in one go. Jack felt an unprecedented sense of satisfaction inside, and thus embarked on the path to becoming a perverse killer. Even after establishing a romantic relationship with Mary, he didn't stop the killings. Mary hoped to participate in his actions, but Jack didn't take her along because he needed to enjoy the killing alone before bringing anyone else in. And now Mary's friends began to suspect that Jack was the killer. To uncover the truth, they had Mary call Jack to ask how his mother was when he was a child. However, there was nothing wrong with his answer. He might have sensed something was off and answered that way on purpose, or perhaps his mother really was quite normal. Mary breathed a sigh of relief upon hearing his answer, but Lisa still harbored doubts about Jack. She was determined to seek justice for Quinn. However, what she didn't know was that Quinn had already developed feelings for the killer. Every night, she reminisced about the warmth of Jack's embrace. The smile on her face was clearly not meant to punish Jack but rather a longing to spend her life with him. The next day, Jack went to Mary's company to find her but was received in the office by Mary's boss. The boss confessed to Jack that she knew all about him but had not exposed him for the sake of the company's interests. Moreover, she was aware of Jack's relationship with Mary and warned him not to contact Mary again because Mary was a valuable asset to the company. and they couldn't afford to lose her. Faced with such a threat, Jack wanted to kill the boss immediately, but it wasn't convenient to act in the company. In the end, he held back. After leaving, Jack went to look for Mary, unaware that Lisa had been waiting outside for a long time. She planned to take pictures of Mary and Jack to confirm whether Jack was the one who had assaulted Quinn. However, when Mary appeared, she was linked arm in arm with another man. Lisa sent this photo to Quinn, and Quinn immediately denied it. It turned out that Mary had already found Jack and warned him that there was danger lurking. She deliberately linked arms with a male colleague to create an opportunity for Jack to escape. This action completely won Jack's heart. He had previously regarded Mary as someone similar to himself, but now he realized that Mary was not only his true love but also his guardian angel. Yet, in the face of murder, love seemed insignificant. Jack was still searching for prey on the app. Once he found a suitable target, he would conduct a match. Jack was skilled at attracting women, but that night he encountered a more formidable opponent. The other party not only claimed to have seen him but also made a video call. Jack answered the video call, only to see the professor's girlfriend, whom he had killed before. Jack suspected that Lisa was behind this, so he immediately went to Lisa's place to threaten and intimidate her. He confessed to Lisa that he was not only Mary's boyfriend but also the cruel serial killer, as long as he wanted to make a move. Neither Quinn nor Lisa could escape death. Jack didn't kill Quinn because she was disabled. He didn't kill Lisa because they didn't belong to the same world. As he was leaving, he smashed the statue that Lisa had worshipped to threaten her not to provoke him again. The next day, Lisa and Quinn found Mary to tell her about what happened last night. However, Mary still had no intention of helping them catch the killer. Not long after, Jack sent Mary a video, asking her what style of office she preferred. Since Jack had studied architecture, he wanted to create an ideal shelter for her. With his own hands, however, he didn't know that his video call with Mary had actually been uploaded to the company's backend. The boss and the programmers were monitoring the entire scene, and they knew what Mary intended to do. Moreover, they planned to help her out. The video of the deceased that Jack had received earlier was actually arranged by the boss through a hacker. They planned to first break down Jack's psychological defenses, and when he was anxious and uneasy, Mary would be able to appear as a heroine and then deal with him. Jack was completely unaware of this. That evening, he went to Mary's place again. Mary hoped to have one last encounter with him, but Jack didn't continue. His mind was heavy, and he couldn't concentrate. To Mary, his refusal proved his inadequacy in that regard. Mary had always had only a physical desire for Jack, never an emotional attachment. At this moment, Jack was completely useless in Mary's eyes. Earlier, Jack had destroyed her chat robot, which had already caused her dissatisfaction with him. Moreover, Jack didn't include her when he killed, and now that joy was gone, it seemed there was no longer any need to keep him around. Mary went to Lisa's house to ask her to return the knife. Lisa understood her intention but didn't stop her. Perhaps only a madwoman could deal with a pervert. If Jack didn't die, all evil would be endless. Jack arrived at the studio he had built himself, planning to invite Mary to come and see it. However, Mary had actually come secretly, but pretended to be busy and said she couldn't come for now. Jack had no suspicions at all and continued to send messages to Mary, telling her to come after she was done. Unexpectedly, Mary sent a video. Jack noticed nothing unusual. Jack tried to look up to see the attacker's face but realized he could no longer see. The killer gave him no chance to breathe. Next, a sharp blade cut deeply into his neck. In the end, Mary used the knife Jack had given her to end his life. Jack struggled on the ground, dying. While Mary merely watched coldly, Jack struggled to grab his phone, and in the video, Mary asked Jack to repeat what he had just said. Jack barely held on. Perhaps he would die without ever knowing that it was Mary who killed him, or perhaps he sensed something from the strange video. But it no longer mattered. Jack was completely dead. Mary fled the scene, discarding her coat and gloves, her face still devoid of expression. The matter came to a close, and Mary quickly returned to her usual calm life. She happily played games at work, always focused completely while working. This was characteristic of someone with Asperger's syndrome, with incredible focus and memory, yet very emotionally numb, and especially difficult to understand love. Jack's death seemed to stir no ripples in her heart, while Quinn, who had long suffered from Jack's abuse, was left to grieve alone. She even kept the lollipop Jack had given her. Outside, snow was falling heavily. Quinn wore a black dress, as if mourning for a lost love. The film comes to an end here. I initially thought that the male lead, as a perverse killer, would kill the heroine, but the plot took an unexpected turn. As he unexpectedly fell for the heroine originally thought she truly liked the hero, only to realize that she was the real pervert. The plot constantly subverted expectations and reversed itself, and such suspenseful storytelling was quite captivating. The female lead's makeup and styling were striking, Her light makeup look perfectly matched her unique genius character in the film, which gave her an extraordinary charm. The male lead, Jin Young-kwon, played a dark and perverse character this time, creating a stark contrast to his previous warm male roles. His acting was commendable, but some of his smiles felt unnatural, as if they were forced out, and the frequency of those smiles was too high, disrupting the originally tense and thrilling atmosphere of the film. Besides, there were some shortcomings in character backgrounds and designs. It was surprising that Quinn, as a police officer, acted so foolishly. A lot of unnecessary plots appeared, and many character backgrounds were not clearly explained. While watching, it was hard to understand the characters' motivations. Despite these shortcomings, the show was still quite memorable. It was not just a simple mystery story, but also a great deal of satire on the dark side of human nature and the complex and indifferent relationships between people. Overall, this show is definitely worth watching. If you enjoy my channel, please subscribe to it.